Part 2 of the Punters show. All right, before we get into the few emails and whatever, Queensland Rap, as we mentioned, Blake with 5, just right at the peak of his powers.
He wrote 5, did he?
Yeah, 5.
Oh, I thought it was 4.
No, 5. 5. It's Mark made mention on the previous show. It's the anniversary of Taylor Marshall. What was it, 5 or 6 for him?
It was 5.
5.
Taylor Marshall rode 5 winners of that Rosehill program last year.
And Taylor Marshall told Gary Harley what was the highlight of your day in racing. I told you what Taylor said. Riding 4 winners at Rosehill that day. And there you have
Foster
Taylor
was the horse I couldn't think of the other day.
No, closer. The horse.
Oh yeah, closer. Yeah, that's the other one. No, that's 2 years ago.
Yeah, he rode 5, didn't he? Yeah, because I yelled out from behind the fence. I was listening to the interview. You rode 5, you imbecile. And they Gary, fucking Apollo wouldn't know he's talking about. Yeah. It was 5. It was 5.
Fences damages.
Yeah.
Pornichet.
Just awesome.
Wow. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Was that the Toowoomba Cup backup? Is that what happened there? I mean, he did go like a rocket that day at Rosehill, just like zoomed away, and then
he was like unbelievable. I think even Blake went, "What is going on here?"
It's sort of
your team. What is it with your gay team when they? How does she get him to go that? I don't know. Seems amazing.
That was breathtaking, wasn't it?
It's just unbelievable. Imagine being on the 300 and just going, this is now $1.01. Because every 10 metres they're going, it's finding half a length.
Yeah. And probably still has improvement too.
Jesus.
Cornish, Matt?
How good is, I think, Shin, the way he sits those horses.
Yeah.
He's the only jockey that can sit on the horse and can just amble up to the field.
Yeah.
It's quick
He
to
does
watch.
amble up, doesn't he? And then he
does.
seems to get lower.
And he doesn't get his ambling all that wrong. I know a few people
With the grey horse in the Group 1 race,
shooting
sitting to win or
shooting to win. Yeah, like people say, he should have gone for it, and that cost. It's bullshit.
He's working to his game plan, isn't he?
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to ride him.
Yeah,
if you want to employ me, you can employ me.
Yeah.
But I can ride 5 winners on big days.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I'd rather have him than most.
He just seems to try. He can back up at Canberra on a Friday and be on $1.75 in the first, and there's not one sniff of this. Might be having a run. It's Shin's on it. It'll be drying.
Yeah.
And so why does he do that? Like, what's in it for him going to Canberra and Gold?
He's 24.
Just 23. Wants to get there. Wants to ride.
He's fucking lightly raced. He's young.
He's young, but he's been riding for a long time.
I know, but it just maybe.
Bar that. How long do you have on?
I tell you what, it probably is. He had the 12 months off. He had a whiff of the punt and saw how hard it was, and said, "I'll just go back to riding."
Yeah, exactly right. And if I'm sitting at home, I might get the little and then as soon as that needle pierces the skin,
you're back in Dick.
You're back in heaven, baby.
I've never seen a bloke turn around his career like amazingly, like on the fucking road, walking around. Couldn't even claim those betting tickets on his tags, and then 2-3 years later. Beyond a superstar.
Yeah.
Pornichet, it'll go up to 2,400.
Does it continue on? I know Gay's talking about Cox Place. Does it? The article I wrote about it didn't see any mention of whether it presses on in the Brisbane Carnival or not.
It's like 2,000 metres.
Brisbane Cup.
No, he'd be probably there's another weight for HO up there, isn't there?
BJ O'Shea.
Yeah, but she'd probably put it out now and go Cox Plate, wouldn't she?
That's not really.
I think she'd be picking up the O'Shea while you're up there at the $1.45.
Yeah, perfect. All right, moving along. We mentioned it earlier in the show. This time last week, we got news that Ken Callender was resigning from the Telegraph due to editorial restrictions, and the editorial restrictions is something that we've mentioned on the show before about Racing New South Wales having some form of editorial control over what goes in the papers at not only just at News Limited, but I'm sure there's some form of editorial control at the Herald. Maybe not to the same extent, but still some.
Melbourne,
all the News Limited stuff, and of course Sky Channel / Tab as well too. So there is the governing body does have a fair amount of say in what goes out and what doesn't go out.
Yeah, well, its business partner is the Tab, so that makes sense that anything the Tab owns is a propaganda machine.
Yep.
I just feel so embarrassed that back in, was it 1996, when the Act was changed and the AJC lost its powers, and everyone was punching the air going, yes, good riddance to the AJC. I just feel so embarrassed that I was in the van of that. When you think of how benignly racing was run then, benevolently.
Yeah, it was run as
obviously there were stuffy old types in the AJC, but they were doing a good job because they weren't attempting to control the whole thing.
The modern crew is more old-fashioned than them.
Yeah, well, there are similarities with sort of fascist regimes throughout.
Got to dig Kings.
He launched in this all the other
new
day.
haircut this week. I saw it.
Yeah,
enormous
with the durry. Yeah,
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, I think one of the sad things about this whole 10 calendar thing, and is that outside of us, who's a little pissy, off the wall, niche show. No one's really going to discuss this properly. They're not going to discuss. We haven't discussed on Sky Channel. The Telegraph aren't going to discuss it properly. It's just really, and if we're the only avenue for, and this is not giving ourselves a huge rap or something, but if we're the only, a little pissy little show here is the only avenue to actually discuss racing on some sort of balance, or actually go into an area that might be a little bit dark or whatever, it's not really saying a great deal about the racing media that's covering New South Wales racing, is it?
No, it's not. So RaceNet's compromised.
RaceNet broke the story, didn't they? But I mean, they're probably one hope of a bit of balance, but they rely on Racing New South Wales as well too.
Yeah, they like keeping their nose clean.
Yeah,
very.
Yeah. And then for their websites, full of sponsored banners as well. Maybe the tab wasn't one of the number one contributors, so you can break that story there. But from what I understand, the guys from Media Watch have been sniffing around.
Oh, have they?
Yes.
Good.
So I don't know if they got enough to take it to air. That would be for the Kenny Calendar situation.
Yeah.
I know they've called a few people.
Have they?
So what is it? Media Watch tonight or Tuesday?
Yeah, Media Watch tonight.
Tonight after Four Corners.
9:15.
Yeah, I don't know if they got enough.
We might have to tweet that tweet at the real Paul Barry. That's his Twitter handle, and say if he wants to actually get the absolute full how it all works and whatever.
But we don't want him watching this show because people tweet Media Watch.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hope I haven't said something they're going to say. Now this internet show, politics are there.
Yeah.
At
least he wouldn't have to go too far back in the archives to find it, Glenn.
No.
This guy, at least if they got someone after me and chase a story and ask me for a comment, did I say that? I go, yes.
Yes.
I meant it too.
Anyway, but it does highlight I mean, when Kenny's probably the most known journalist in racing, and he
is the most known journalist in racing.
And he's thrown.
His name is just.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing it for how long?
How massive a career did his son pull out of being Kenny Callender's son? It's
Absolutely.
just a massive brand, Kenny Callender.
And he's frustrated enough to pull the pin.
By the same token, he is old enough to retire.
But the thing is, Kenny had retired anyway. He was just writing the column because, he didn't need it. He was just writing the column because he's done it. I'm sure he would have enjoyed writing the column. But for him to pull the pin like that, it shows. Okay. I mean, I think his point was that he can.
So it's like
he can bag jockeys, bookmakers, punters, the cleaning lady, blah 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 blah. But he can't say anything against Racing New South Wales.
It's sad.
It's a bit of criticism in the media, as a lot of sports have shown. It doesn't kill your sport.
It improves
it. It
gives it character.
What's the rugby league's situation?
Oh, well, as I always say about News Limited, News Limited own the game, and the greatest purveyors of scandal on rugby league were News Limited through the Telegraph. Now, they've got some sort of idea of business, but this is what comes back to, we've spoken about so many times, Mark, that racing is irrelevant. And racing censorship can be bought for whatever the Racing New South Wales contract is, which we believe isn't a huge sum. It might be $1 million or $2 million. You thought if you actually put it out to tender, and you said, oh well, we don't want that money, we could get it from corporate. So I would have thought you probably could.
There it is.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, from Craig.
All right, lovely. But anyway, that's where we're at, and unfortunately, I think until something like that changes, I think we're just going to be in the doldrums.
Got to cheer Media Watch.
Got to cheer Media Watch, exactly right. Or some sort of further investigation into it. Craig has said, I'm hoping you can ask the guys about an etiquette dilemma I encountered recently during the championships, and this is right, Clint. I was going to back a horse on Betfair and thought I'd place the bet while heading up to the grandstand to watch the race. Upon reaching level 1, the odds unexpectedly tumbled in on Betfair, so I rushed to the bookie fielding on that level to snap up the price before it went off. Upon reaching the bookie with cash in hand and braced for any physical jostling necessary to get on, I was instead greeted by two orderly queues of around 12 or so well-dressed men and women, some stylishly clutching flutes of champagne. I thought I'd stumble across the lunch buffet queue by mistake, but soon confirmed that these were in fact queues to place a bet with a bookie. What is the etiquette in this new world? Should I have joined the end of the queue and just hope the price wouldn't go up while waiting and potentially burst an artery through stress, or created a public incident by ignoring the established queue order? For the record, I took reduced odds on Betfair. Thanks, Craig.
Well, you definitely create a public incident by ignoring the established queue and just tell all those people with champagne flutes to fuck themselves.
Yeah, but
That's
it is,
what I do
and
all the time.
it is coming, isn't it? Like, you know, people are
Yeah,
queuing up. People are queuing up to have a bet.
He's gone to the agency, which is a bit different.
It is.
Oh,
a bit,
mate,
but
I've
you
seen
get
it
it in the ring.
in the
and
main
one
ring.
Young bloke telling me, "Hey, mate, you're pushing in
No,
to me."
It's so sad, isn't it?
I go, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh," and they get all aggressive, and I go, "Really? Aggressive? I bet you $50 you do nothing. Now, you're with your girlfriend, watch nothing. They do nothing."
Yeah, but just the fact that our homogenised world has come to the races.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking.
And it's not as if there's a lot of people lining up to have a bet, but there are actually
But
people.
it is an agency.
Well, it used to be like Wall Street. Whoever shouted
That's
the
right.
loudest was
It's
get
a
on.
trading
now it's
floor.
like, let's get in a line and you just take your
Yeah,
turn.
and just watch
I mean, I
that.
understand getting in a line to get paid.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, but getting in a line to have a bet, no, it's
Fuck that.
no, it's.
Craig, you should have just smashed. You just should have just said fuck it.
But I
All
do
the champagne over and said I'm getting on.
I do share the same opinion of Craig, though. It is a bit of an etiquette dilemma
Yeah, it
because
is.
you know, like, I'll do the same and just push in and look at him and think, oh, I'm being a prick here, you know. But no, I'm just doing what I should be
I
doing.
don't feel bad like that.
Yeah.
But in the outside world,
I queue for everything.
you queue.
Yeah.
Right?
I,
And
yeah,
it
I
just-
agree. In the
You know, racing was.
It's funny because sometimes I go to the football, or I go to the Easter shows, I'm like, oh, I'm the fucking mughead here.
Mm.
Because at the races I don't think I'm the mug. Because the mugs come and you're there. And
Yeah,
you're
The
there,
mugs are queuing up.
the mugs queuing up. So when I go to the Easter show, I go, I wonder if I'm doing what the mugs should be doing. But I'm
Well,
pretty
but
sure I am.
actually, in defence of you, in normal life, you don't queue up in traffic.
No. Yeah, I don't either. No.
I did a good play like that. I did a pollock play yesterday. The right-hand turn into Wollongong when you get on the, you know, in the heart of Wollongong there's two lanes, and you've got the two lanes.
Straight round.
Yeah, and just didn't even stop at the roundabout either. I had the sister of the car.
Yeah.
And just there was a small gap there and there, and just kept going. Hordes everywhere. Yeah, it was a very Polides play. I was very happy
Well,
with
also
it.
the
But
best-
in total control
The best
too.
play, if you send the right-hand turns with the red and the red arrow, the right-hand turns everywhere
Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
not one of those right-hand turns with the red arrow ever has a camera at the lights.
Oh.
So when everyone's queuing back at the red arrow, they stay behind the line, you just go straight up and pull straight to the middle and put your blinker on.
Yeah,
And then you get the green arrow,
Yeah.
and everyone goes, how can you do that? And you go, oh, I just did.
yeah, exactly.
So you're saying that no set of lights with a red with an arrow have got
Yeah.
a camera.
The ones I've seen to don't have cameras. I don't know why.
Well, because it's hard to like.
I
If you're in the middle of the intersection, you're supposed to keep going.
I think
once it's-
I think the big one on
Anyway,
just
keep
down the
your
road,
eye
where
out
the
for it. It's called a
truck
PP.
crash.
It's called-
Where's that? Pittwater Road and Pittwater Road and
It's called
Warringah
a
Road.
pollet play. You've got to keep
Yeah.
involved with that.
All right, well, early Crow, this is something you asked in the previous show, which we didn't, Mark. I've been keen to back Song and Laugh the last two starts. How do I approach a horse now that it missed 2 race starts in 2 weeks due to Sydney's wonderful weather?
Well, I suppose it's a consideration, but if a horse is up and running, it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah,
We asked him on the previous show. What are we talking about now?
because we didn't do it on the previous show.
Oh.
It was just, I thought it was an interesting
Yeah,
point.
so it's just an issue, I suppose.
What's the best website to get the information of horses that have been nommed but scratched? I've struggled with that.
The website
Bombed and scratched. I've seen it somewhere.
Is it the old Racing Victoria website used to say scratch.
Scratch.
race.
Yeah.
I don't think Racing New South Wales have that. It just shows their runs and their trials.
Mm.
I think it's very interesting.
I've seen it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that all
It shows you how the owners and the trainers
Yeah.
are thinking. They might scratch on wet tracks. They might hate wet tracks and distances.
Yeah, the pattern of scratching and if they're putting up with it. And then they actually begs the question is, by scratching and missing that week's run, is that less beneficial than maybe scratching because of a wide barrier, which is apparently bad or whatever it is?
Oh, please, Mitchell Manners, can you stop saying from the bad barrier?
Yeah.
And, while I'm on it, sorry to divert here,
I like this bit.
huh?
I do it a lot.
I can't stand race callers saying they've saved all the ground when they're on the inside in the straight. They're all racing in a straight line, but such and such has
So it
taken a
saves the
shortcut
ground.
because it's on the inside.
Yes, there's a straight line. Shortcut. if it's a bend.
Well, Waller's horse, Metallic Crown, might have been well drawn looking at the...
very
Yeah,
well
that's
drawn.
right, exactly. Well,
It's
that's
very
a
well
mistake. That's a mistake they make, isn't it?
So did he scratch it because of the wide barrier? Because he
Yeah.
scratched it on Friday.
Oh,
Yeah, he said wide
He didn't.
barrier.
wide barrier
Okay.
was it? Yeah, okay.
And a horse worth waiting for.
Trent said, just a quick thanks on your read on Sadler's Lake for the first 2 runs right across the board. I think pretty much all the team, both on or off the show, kept pointing out how hopeless in the weather not to jump off. No huge prize on Saturday, but a nice winner due to following your show.
So was it third up at 2,000 on Saturday?
Third up 2,000 dry track. Dry track. Sort of seemed appealing, didn't it?
Wow.
Beautiful. Alex said, on you, Jimmy. Time to retire. Don't care what you did in the autumn. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
They were rather big, weren't they, Glenn? Hey?
The shop don't do that work for us.
Peas in the bowl.
Round the corner there.
Peas in the bowl.
Keys in the bowl.
Oh, you just don't know what. You just don't know what goes in the afternoon. Jeez. God, it's true. Daddy said, these are the questions in response to Matt's push out. How about the jump outs at Rosehill not being shown and the results being listed at Racing New South Wales? And Snowy mentioned...
Sorry, the results are listed?
The results are listed at Racing New South Wales, and Snowy actually raised the point why jump outs not barrier trials, acknowledging that it's probably because of the wet track.
Yeah, and I think the early response was, look, there's not enough of them to warrant us sending a crew out or YouTubing it, but it's something they're going to look at.
Yeah, it's not a cheap experience to, it's...
Well, that's right. The other thing is that with barrier trials, the connections have to pay. You have to pay to trial a horse, right? These clearly are less formal, and so there's no payment involved.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be official about them and record them. And although I'm interested that when you say the results are listed, is it
The results are listed.
As in
I
what?
didn't think jump outs really... had
So-
really-
So I think he's saying that they're not being shown and the results are being shown.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's no results
I'm saying no results.
because all they could do is
Maybe.
say this jump out field comprised
Yeah.
of these horses.
Yeah, these horses
That's
jumped
what
out.
you're right.
Yeah, just an acknowledgement of who did what. Yeah, and not...
which they do at Kembla. They send out the list of jump outs at Kembla.
Okay.
But
How
I
do you
think...
get those?
And I think
Well, I
Snowy...
know that Terry sends them around. I don't know. They must be somewhere else.
But Snowy answered his own question there, I suppose. I suppose it was just a stopgap measure because of the wet weather and all that sort of shit. Anyway.
No, they put them. They've put on jump outs because they're free,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yes, they could have made them trials, but that would have meant that people had to pay.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And so they would see themselves as doing a service to the trainers by putting on free jump outs.
Yeah, lovely, cool. And the other thing then is...
I mean, it's perplexing.
Then is the more official you get and you say about the horses there could easily be horse the horse that said horse A, because there'd be no one checking which the horses are. And so, yeah, that was Triscay that went like a rocket in the hand, but it was actually Fine Cotton.
Yeah.
Bold Personality was
That'd
back
be
in the
awesome.
field. You know, like, so yeah, so without... The more levels you go to make it official, the more levels you need to make it official. Anyway, Stu said, nice one, John McLeod, as in, and right on top of You'll Never. Thanks, Glenstar. Hashtag back-to-back 20-1.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's
Isn't
nice back at 21 winners.
John said, when will Melbourne Racing be back on TV properly? The internet vision is punishing the Sky, not giving it proper courtesy.
So what does happen on Sky? in relation
They
to Melbourne?
take racing.com's coverage.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think
so
they flick their to just before, as opposed to giving the full market rundown. So maybe on the weekdays they do that, but on Saturday I think they give it a little less coverage than the
So
other
they give
places.
Sydney and Brisbane
Yeah,
more.
so you get the mounting yard from Sydney because it's the Sky guys doing it, and Brisbane this time of
Yeah.
year. But yeah, less love for Melbourne.
No.
And then
Well, that's
obviously
because Melbourne's running their own race, isn't it? I mean, they're sort of lucky that Sky's showing the races, aren't they?
Right, and if you haven't got Foxtel and you're watching from the internet, you don't get to watch it on Sky. You have to flick over to racing.com or have a Sportsbet account.
So your Sky Media Centre on the net
Is no vision,
no vision for right.
but
Okay.
there is free vision available. Racing.com and Sportsbet have paid for it, so you can watch it on the Sportsbet website.
Okay.
And to wrap up the emails, Marco B said, Smurden's blowing like a gale, winning like Farlow.
Did win like Farlap.
Surely,
Yes.
didn't it win well? We're talking about Lamosti. Sure, and if anybody who watches Foxtel in the afternoon, like Sky News, you know you can get Lamosti brain testing too. It's one of the about the 3 ads that are on with it, life insurance, funeral insurance, or whatever. But yeah, Lamosti brain testing.
I love those.
It's like brain games.
Brain games, the last one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
2 times 3 times 3.
Right.
There's
All
puzzles.
this.
So were you down in Melbourne, Mark?
Yeah, I was, and I did manage to lay it at the death. So it wasn't like yes, it blew, but there was there was still some interest in it.
Okay.
It was a 3-year-old filly coming back from the
Yeah?
Oaks
Yeah.
in an 1100 metre race.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
know,
I'm
like
sort of-
its last run was in the VRC Oaks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can see reasons not to like
So
it.
it
Yeah,
came
it
up short on the tone. The Horry said had it 1,000,000 to 1.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a 3-year-old filly in a fly.
Yeah.
Like a
Guess I'm all the talk.
yeah, Tortelli's horse was in the race. I'm all the talk. It was long odds, but it was that sort of standard.
Horry wasn't talking about something.
What?
I had 3 place bets in Camberwell Hill and places. He was very particular with me, actually.
But Mark, you see it a bit. I mean, it's an interesting world down there. You've got a couple of really stables that got betting all around them in Weir and Smurden. But what's your read on them when you're on the ground there?
That the betting one way or the other is meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, but obviously, it's nice to see blowers win. Like, well, blowers that you're not expecting things from
Yeah.
to win.
But would you say, and just digressing from Smurden to Weir, it's really if there's no real tricks to it. They're backed, they're there. If they're not backed, they're not there. Is it? It's almost as cut and dry as that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's the A set, and that's
Yeah.
the one to watch.
Beautiful. All right, part 2.
End of party.